Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You look very ready. Okay. Okay,
Awesome.
let's kick it on. Bakz, thanks so much for starters for showing up. I always love to talk to you whenever I get a chance. Let me first start with congratulations on the new YouTube series. I really love it. I think it created quite a discussion in the GPT-3 community, and you're like provoking us to think a little bit deeper about the implications on human creativity and this new amazing tech that's being released constantly by OpenAI and the likes. So tell me what inspired you, first of all, to create the series?
Well, thank you for your kind words, Sandra. I really appreciate you saying that and having me here. GPT-X DALL-E and our multimodal future is like about 19 videos long. Like it's a pretty big series. And I think part of the reason it's so big, I've been releasing one episode every weekday, is because I just think it's so important. I really value creativity. I am myself a creative. My main thing is coding. Like I've been coding since I was 10, but I also used to make videos. I used to make music. I have friends who are filmmakers. And I often think, we are technologists. We will obsess all day about a variable name. What are we going to name this variable? But we spend very little time actually talking about some of the interesting, what I call interaction effects, not just societal, but interaction effects of our work, right? So when I say interaction effect, I mean DALL-E can generate images, right? That's cool. As a technologist, our worldview ends there. But if you're thinking about the interaction effect, it's basically, two group of people will be sitting around. They will generate an image, and that image may become the genesis of something else, something greater. It could be a movie. It could be something like the very famous Avocado Chair, which then becomes a business. And so I personally enjoy thinking about interaction effects. Also in the context of, the series it's meant to take place 2 to 10 years from now. And so I enjoy thinking about the future in relation to society and the technology that we're working on and building.
Awesome. So if you could tell me, I remember that you give a pretty strong statement in the series that you believe that our creativity will be heavily impacted by and driven by AI. Can you tell me like where it comes from? What are your thoughts on this? Dive a little bit deeper into this.
Yeah, me personally as a creative, when you start seeing things like DALL-E, when you start playing around with GPT-3, there is a metamorphosis that happens, and I found it's quite even a hurdle for me having to unbundle the way I was taught and raised as a creative person. What was important, what was not, and like certainly the series, one of the things it just addresses is letting go of some of the tiny details, letting go of some of the stuff that's in front of you, like doing the skilled labor, right? And sort of looking at the big picture, which I think is going to be like sort of the dominant perspective of creatives in the future.
And in terms of like how our landscape will look like 10 years from now, what do you think?
Yes, so you got to be very careful making these predictions, especially on video. If it was just you and me privately in a room, I'd tell you. But I think for the purposes of the event, I will share. So mentally, the series timeline I give is 2 to 10 years. I leave it a little bit blurry on purpose, but my vision is within 2 years, we will have perhaps even better DALL-E generations, like very accurate image generations. Within 4 to 5 years, you will be able to enter a description of a song, and that song will be generated for you in its entirety. You will be able to mix that song with your favorite other works. So you could be like a song about Mickey Mouse in the style of Lil Uzi Vert, a song about Mickey Mouse as if it was written by Tupac, and it will generate that song. And keep in mind all the nuances of Tupac or Lil Uzi Vert and Mickey Mouse as well. and it will generate that song. Now that's I think I said like beyond, like I think it said 4 to 5 years for that, but my estimation is I can't guarantee you how long that snippet will be, whether it'll be a 30-second song or a 5-minute song, or whether it generates an entire rock opera. That is a question of computing power. After that point, I think the 10-year mark, we'll start seeing videos. That, again, is a question of computing power, but essentially, imagine 10 years from now, anybody making a movie, like a blockbuster movie like Tenet, which was, $100 million plus budget, just by typing in a script or having GPT-3 write the script, and then you give that script to another multimodal model that makes an entire movie. And all of this sounds pretty crazy. Like, I'm aware. Part of the challenge I've had to go through is like letting go of how we look at the world today. The key thing with movies is they are already very digital, right? We almost do not need to recreate these things in the atomic form. We don't need actors. If we can recreate them digitally and synthesize them, and it's very accurate, we will be able to generate these movies entirely with multimodal AI.
And do you have any views on like the AI agency, so to say, like if AI will be more and more involved in the creative process, will more and more make decisions for us, for example, as creators, or we will kind of continue to, have this mutual relationship where we're just using it as a tool? Do you think it will shift a little bit in the upcoming years?
So the role will definitely shift. And to be honest, even today, the role has shifted, right? Like one of the videos I made was on GPT-3 generating press releases, right? The fact that GPT-3 can write a press release, and I've shown this to people who do this for a living, and they're like, this is good. Like, I would send this out today. Like, our company would use this today and send this out at a professional level. It is already making decisions, right? It had to make creative decisions. Like, it's like, obviously it doesn't work like this, but it was almost like, let me write this press release, but let me think, like, how do I want to do the intro? And then it comes up with a feasible intro, right? And then I'm the one reviewing that press release, and I'm like, I like the intro or I don't like the intro. Let's get it to regenerate again. So yeah, I think it in some sense it is making decisions, but I mean technically it is not. It is predicting the next character. As for the role question, I don't want to spoil the rest of the series. I think there are a few videos which do talk about humanity's role in the future when it comes to creativity. I will just say this, and it depends on where these AI models go. I personally don't view AI becoming super intelligent within the next 10 years, like the kind you see in the movie, where it's like it's fully sentient and it controls all matter in the universe, and it knows everything and can see everything. I don't see that happening in 10 years. I'd love to be proven wrong, or maybe not, right? But I think creativity starts with some kind of desire, This series started because I had a desire to make a series that talked about these topics, and I felt they were important, right? I took 4 months off of work. I reduced the amount of videos I was uploading on my YouTube channel, and I sort of fought all these battles to make sure the series got done, which it did. And without my desire as a human in the first place, I don't know, like if AI could just sit around and randomly, come up with ideas for things and take them as seriously as important as I do. And certainly, if you look at the role between humans and GPT-3 now, we are the ones that prompt it and hit submit. Otherwise, it does not on its own start predicting. And so the series goes in more detail, but I think creativity is driven by human desire as well as curiosity. And also, I think humans are very complex, and we have very complex dynamics. So if you look at the game theory of creativity, which is something I've thought a lot about, like I simply think that if we know AI made something, the audience knows, perhaps humans will be less impressed by it, and the audience will expect more. In which case, the AI has to not only impress a creator, but it also has to impress the audience. So it's playing two kinds of levels. And so I just think you do need a human in the process. I think it's harder for AI to play two games at once.
Awesome. That's great points. Thank you for it. So we are talking a lot already about DALL-E, about multimodal models, and I wanted to kind of slow down in case somebody is approaching it for the first time. Could you tell us what DALL-E is from your perspective?
Right. So I like to frame DALL-E first by defining GPT-3. So GPT-3 is a text-based model. It is only text-based. It's never seen an image before, and it can't generate an image. So you write text, and then it generates text for you. DALL-E, you can give it text, and it generates an image. And these two modalities of text and images make DALL-E multimodal. I would also add that a multimodal model could be theoretically trained on anything. So I talk about this in the first video. Like it could be trained on images and video and audio and sensory data. Like an extreme example I give is you could like have a sensor on a ship and give that sensory data from the ship, whatever it could be, into a multimodal model in addition to the collective works of Shakespeare. Right. And then you could have it write, I guess, in theory, like a sonnet about the ship and the journey the ship has gone through. So the two ideas behind multimodal models, in my view, are, they'll be able to generate all these things. They'll take in all these different modalities. They'll be able to generate all these things. And for creatives, that means it could generate a painting, a song, a movie, the architectural design for a building, right? Product designs. That's what my view is in the next 10 years they'll be able to do. And the exciting thing is you'll be able to mix between them. So this is something I didn't do a good job explaining in the first video, but my view is you'll be able to watch a movie like Jaws, right? The classic 1970s movie with the sharks and everything, and give just that movie to an AI model and have it generate an architectural building based on that movie, right? And so like it'll just be a new form of creativity altogether to just jump between these mediums. You could give a chair and have it generate a song based on that chair. Like there's like the cross pollination is a really important, interesting idea that I'm excited to see. The possibilities are endless.
So I'm absolutely mind blown whenever I see the creations of DALL-E with the help of humans, of course.
Yes.
What is the most kind of outrageous thing that you saw already with the help of multimodal models?
Definitely, the Avocado Chair for me is something which has, taken up everyone's imagination. I think it really sparked everyone's imagination. There's some relatability, there's some beauty, there's some simplicity to it. I think it's iconic. I think it represents the potential, and also it became a meme, right? It's like a meme, and yeah. DALL-E Mini, which is an attempt to replicate DALL-E, they're using that as a technical benchmark, right? Is the Avocado Chair performance, which I think is very interesting. And so Friday's video is essentially I made a more expanded version. I imagined the Avocado Chair in more detail, and it's a really fun video. It's like less than 2 minutes. I encourage you guys to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, this is like a must-have, and we will post the link to the whole series on the general channel here. Do you have any questions, buddy? I'm just looking at Twitch chat. If you have any questions to Bakz, good opportunity. Meanwhile, I'm going to ask you if you've used any of these models to create your series somehow.
I had used it. I had used, I believe, 𝐃𝐞𝐿 and 𝐿 for 2 images, and I used GPT-3 at various points. In fact, a lot of the scripts are co-written by GPT-3, which is something I will be mentioning at some point. Now, GPT-3 is not multimodal, obviously. It's text-based only, but yeah. I wish I had it. I wish I had these whatever I was making, I was like, man, I could have used all these tools like really badly.
Nice. Okay, we have one question. How do you think this will affect traditional thinking in the future, especially in the field of education?
Yes. So I have a podcast episode probably dropping tomorrow where I talk about this, but I find it really interesting as a creative. Whenever we're teaching kids who are into any kind of creativity, we teach them skills, right? Like for some reason, if you want to become a designer, the first thing they teach you is Adobe Illustrator. Why is that, right? I want to be a designer. I want to create great things in, perhaps in the physical world, like, furniture or appliances. And there's something about skills-based thinking, which is so deeply ingrained in our mindset as creatives. We're so used to being, what I call creative laborers, right? We're so used to all the nitty-gritty, all the details. And I think the way we'll change education is, imagine something like, DALL-E today, pulling up to a classroom and just telling kids, like, whatever you want in your head, it will create it, right? And the magic of them being like, wow, it made exactly what was in my head. I don't want to spoil the series too much, but I do think the multimodal creatives of the future will be very young. I almost think they'll be like Mozart. Like, I think they'll be like 6 years old making masterpieces. And I think simply the difference between adults and children, children have a lot of imagination, but the skills and the patience to learn them and like focus on the project, that's not there, right? Whereas adults have a lot of patience and skills. Like, I have the patience to spend 4 months on 19 videos for a YouTube series, but my imagination is probably lacking, right? Kids are oozing with imagination, right? Like, it's constantly exploding out of them. And so I think the way it will change education is, I think that the next generation of rock stars, quote unquote, will be a lot younger, and it'll be through multimodal AI creative tools like DALL-E.
A very beautiful vision. I'm really looking forward to this new generation. Okay, next question. Actually, we have a whole list of them right now. Can we ask GPT-3 for asking to search for a video from the internet to play? We try
No.
that, Bakz.
Can't do it. And I think that's an important question, right? So in the first video, I do talk about the limitations of this stuff. And like, I openly say I could be wrong. It may happen. It may not happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, GPT-3 can't use a Chrome browser, right? But like, I will say this. So one idea I have for video series, I want to have a human versus AI Olympics. And I would love to see like all these people who, like, not necessarily, this audience member, but like other people who are very dismissive of GPT-3. I'd love to see them perform against GPT-3. And let's compare the performance in writing a press release for any of these, super mega PhD machine learning researchers who are very dismissive to GPT-3. I'd like to see them write a press release the same time GPT-3 does. And we'll see in terms of creativity and intelligence who's really smarter.
Are there any free demos where you can give a prompt and see what GPT-3 makes?
GPT-3 specifically?
I guess. There are demos. Yeah. There are different applications out there that are free that you can
Copy.ai.
There's a whole list of them. There, for example. Or Quick Chat. We have just spoken to
Quick Chat,
to
Copy AI, Philosopher AI.
Great. Shameless plug. If you want to look at different use cases and different types of products apps made with GPT-3, check out Bakz channel. He has a whole list of them. Myself also, I have a humble list of them, so you can just look for the inspiration there. Okay.
The important thing, sorry to interrupt, Sandra, the important thing that nobody says in the GPT-3 community, we simply don't know all the things it can do. We don't know. OpenAI doesn't know. I don't know. You don't know. The video I keep referencing, it's by Mark Ryan. It's a YouTube video, and he has a bunch of awesome videos on AI. But he discovered GPT-3 can give you directions for the New York subway system to a 60% accuracy. Right? Whoa. GPT-3 has never been it's never been in the subway. It's never walked. It hasn't even seen the Mona Lisa. It hasn't seen an image. Yet somehow it can do that. Right? Take any of these ML AI researchers with like 40 degrees in machine learning and ask them, can you give me directions on the New York subway system to 60% accuracy if they haven't lived there? And I'd love to see those results. But anyways, the point of the use case is I want to turn the question to the actual person who asked it. I want you to find a use case and tell me about it. Show me something that GPT-3 can do that I can't believe, right? And I will guarantee you, if it blows my mind, it's going to be on my channel, right? Because I love seeing that stuff too. That's part of the fun. Is it's our job to find the use cases.
Absolutely. And by the way, this hackathon is a great opportunity for that. And I'm sure that while we will be watching presentations towards the end of it, there will be plenty of like exciting and surprising new use cases of it, which is really cool about such events.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Final question. Do you define multimodal? How do you define multimodal? What are those top modalities as creatives?
What are the top, sorry?
What are those top modalities as creatives? Or the different types of modalities included in the multimodal models notion?
Yeah. So I think like I define multimodality as AI models that can just deal with different mediums. Like you can give them text, like books and stuff, chat logs, and images, and they're sort of trained simultaneously for both at the same time. DALL-E was trained on image caption pairs, right? So it was shown images and captions to those images. The top modalities, that's an interesting question, but I think the way it will pan out will be based on data availability. So we have a lot of text data. We have tons of photos, right? Billions and billions of photos. Videos, I imagine we have less, but each video also has a lot going on, right? Music, I would say, obviously I don't know the exact statistics, but I think there is more video than audio. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. And so I think it will be based on where the abundance is. And then afterwards, we can get into just tossing in other kinds of data, like that sensory ship example that I gave.
Awesome. Awesome answer. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's wrap up the session already. I'm so happy that we got to talk about your series and about your views on creative disruption of these new exciting models that are showing up. And let's touch. I'm gonna post you guys the link to the series of Bakz, so make sure to go there and subscribe so you don't miss the episodes.
Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Bye.
Bye.